Welcome back to another episode of AchromatiCraft. I'm Cube Prospector, and we're making awesome progress in our city. This is looking so good. If you didn't check out last episode, definitely go check out where we tried to get this whole street really getting all the buildings kind of in and getting a grayscale city out here. If you haven't checked out the series before, we're turning this whole desert area, starting with the desert village back there, into grayscale. So you can see all the amazing progress we've done so far, but that's not enough. Today we're going bigger. We're going to get a lot more buildings in, and we're going to get this city figured out. So let's go lay out some streets. Okay, so the first thing I like to do anytime we're going from just having a city to really trying to figure out what's going to be there outside of it. You can see we've done an amazing job with the front street here. We've done a little pocket area here, but there's a lot that we can explore around, really filling in this whole area. And now I don't want to make it all just straight buildings. Like out here, I think we should probably look at doing some kind of farmland. These people have to eat sometime. They need some animals in here, and there are no people. We need to start bringing those people in. And if you haven't seen the rest of our series, you'll see what that means by the end. So I'm going to start like I always do, and I'm going to fly down here, is you'll see whenever I am thinking about pathways, I'll start lining out stones. And what that does for me is being able to look at sight lines. So whether that's looking through here and where is that going, or when I was doing this one, thinking about, do we put a well at the end, or is there a big pyramid in that case? So there are a lot of different ways that I can do this. And one of the things that is beneficial is, I'm going to come over here. What this also allows me to do is start seeing from an aerial standpoint where those pathways going. And then we can really start making sure that that's going to look good from up above. You can see this is an older map. We don't have all of the stuff here. And I guess I should probably show you where these are going, because I want to get rid of them. You can see I've marked out a pathway and kind of started putting it in here, but the map's in the way. So another thing that we're going to work on today, and maybe we'll do that so that we can get the roads first, is over here in this pyramid, I dug in the side here, is I want to create a map room down here. We have plenty of room under the stairs. And I thought it actually worked out pretty cool because where these two towers are is on the same level as our door. And so we could make it look like this has actually been opened and propped open by the local residents. And that's how you get in. So that way we could come in. We'll eventually build something cool inside of the pyramid here. You could come over to these towers, be able to go down in and see the map room. So that's where our maps are going to go. But before we get too distracted with that, let's get a few of these streets laid out and I'll kind of show you what I'm thinking there. All right, so back where we were building last time, a lot of what we talked about in that one was these sight lines and how your eyes kind of work around the different buildings. We have different punches of color to kind of give depth there. And that's really nice for when you have a nice main street. But when we start getting to these side streets, what I don't want is a street that goes all the way over to the water there. So what we might actually do in this scenario is, as we're coming, saying that I want some kind of building here that will break up that sight line. So this might actually be, and I'm looking at the space here, a time where we bring the road kind of out this way. And it looks like I have a doorway there, so maybe we curve it back in a little. And then back out. And what that's going to do is, as you can see, we don't just have one straight line through there now. We'll have this way that it comes up, connects with this building. We fan out far enough this way that we can stick a building in here, make it feel a little crowded. And the nice thing about bowing out over here is we actually have some room here. We could put something, maybe another tree, because maybe this is grand and we don't want to crowd it too much. Or you'll notice we have this road that comes out. And maybe we just look at connecting those two, sending it out this way, And maybe since we have so much flat land, we just let this road come out. But again, this one is getting us to a very straight road. So you'll see again, I don't want a sight line that takes us straight out that way. So we might actually follow this. Maybe we're going to put a little well type thing here. And then maybe the road actually starts curving out and following the landscape this way. So then what we're able to do is put a nice big building here to kind of build off that sight line. So that's kind of how I lay out roads. I'm going to lay out a few more here, and then we'll do a flyover kind of show you what my brain's thinking. Okay, so I try not to complicate this too much. It's really just laying down ideas, and we're not really committing to it. But what you can see is we started up here, where I was showing you before, where it goes into the side of a portal and goes around it. I want to bring it down this slope, and I haven't figured out what this slope's going to be, although I do know of a really cool building concept that I want to put here. Still got to figure out what that means, but I thought for at least now, we're going to bring this path around, and we might have like a secret little path because this gets pretty close to this one, as you can see, but I think we need some kind of building here. And then this building I designed with a back door. So I pulled this road over so that we could connect with that one. You can see the buildings are floating a little, so we'll have to work on the landscape. But then this shoots it out that way. It will work its way all the way around this back one, almost acting like another central road. But this one curves just enough that we can put buildings so that we don't get a straight sight line all the way up there. We can work some things in there. And then I've thought about maybe another well here. And then how does it split off that way, go around back there. And then I'm just going to fly. Maybe that'll make it easier here. You can see that I've laid out kind of a road that will go back around here. Come up, maybe it starts shooting out that way. Don't want to get buildings too close to the pyramid because I think the storyline is that they still think that's sacred land, so they're trying to protect it. But even up here in the old village, I want to make sure that we preserve kind of the main lines that they had. But it's kind of bad if you haven't noticed on the other ones. This building's down here. Those ones are clear up there. They made a mess of this town. We knew that when we moved in. So we're going to have to clean out a lot of this and kind of relocate it as we go. But there's some of the logic behind how I lay out roads. Now the next, and you've probably seen me do this on other videos, is I like to go around and not try and get like a perfect layout of a building, but start thinking of roughly where a building will be. So when I'm looking at this and I see kind of how straight this line is, what I don't want to do is build my next building just right in line with that. So I've purposefully pulled this building out, or this road out, so that I could put some kind of building, and maybe it needs to have some kind of appendix over here. But really being able to just think, and you'll see sometimes my buildings aren't even square, even if they end up a little square. Because all I'm trying to do here is just document that there's roughly a building there. And then I can step back, look at my sight lines, and see, is that going to help break up this so it looks like you have to squeeze around the building that way. And then I'll come in and say, all right, this is a pretty big area here. What kind of a building could go in there? About how big should we make it? How close should the road come? And nope, that one's going to be too close to that road. And so now I know that I roughly have a building this size. Nothing too big. So maybe this one would go up a little taller. But that's kind of my decision making. So again, I'm going to get some wool down, get some ideas, and then we're getting on to some building today. All right, now that we got some of that first initial kind of ideas of where we want buildings to be, how big they're going to be, and where the roads might also go, we can get into the building. Now, let me know down in the comments. I don't ever know if y'all want to see a time lapse of these buildings. Sometimes I just pop them in because I tend to overthink them a little of Where do I put all the windows? Where am I laying it out? So I've usually skipped that and just shown you what it looks like after I stick some of them in. But please let me know if you're interested in seeing kind of my process behind sticking them in. But for now, I'd say let's get busy and get a building or two in. All right, and we got our first 3 in here. Did I do 3 or did I do 4? I don't remember. But for context, here's where the silos are, wrapping around this road. And we have to move this road out. It wasn't quite big enough to squeak a house in here. But what you're going to see is I'm really trying to get these guys close. I want it to feel like there was not enough land. They also kept the houses close together to protect from the sandstorms. So as you remember, over in that side, it was a lot bigger street. Here, we're going nice and tight. Now there's going to be some areas to breathe, but even here I'm thinking a tree. Maybe there's a little farm type area where they maybe grew some plants in the city. We'll have it be able to come up here. And you'll notice I have a lot of landscaping. When I was putting that one in, it started falling into that pit. So we're going to need to do some heavy landscaping here. But really the picture I'm trying to paint for myself is that this side it's really tight. So even some stairs are hard to go up to because we're starting to get more on the hillside. And so we've got a house here, one there with our front door, and then this one wraps around. I want to start encouraging the city here to not just be on one street, but that you would wrap around, go to a different door. Again, we're dropping off into another big pit, so it's going to be another landscaping project, but that's okay. We'll get that done. So I'm going to keep grinding this out. I want to see if we can get a little more of the city, either wrap it around this side, or maybe we'll get up closer to the portal. But that's what we're doing next, so let's do it. And a few days later, real life days later, we've got another 2 buildings in, plus a lot of the landscape. I'll kind of show you that from the air because it's just the road and the landscape. There might be some smoothing out we still need to do. But what I'm doing now is just getting in kind of the last pieces of the way I put in the pathways for these houses. So I don't want the pathway to always feel the exact same here. So I look for opportunities to kind of break this out. Maybe we'll do a little extra here so that we get some blend, but that it feels like it goes into a different section. So let's take to the sky and actually see what this is looking like. I was thinking I'm going to get so much of this city done, but you can see we got 5 houses done so far. And it's a lot of work between the landscaping and these buildings. It's a ton of work. And I think the hardest thing is when you use the natural landscape, you don't realize how much you're not having to do. But when you have to fill in all this landscape yourself, it's a lot of extra work. So I think it's getting where we need to. Obviously I need to build up some rock mounds, some clotheslines that connect the buildings, make it feel a little more lived in. Right now it's so clean, but we're going to do that probably in one big episode. There's also things like this sightline. These buildings I didn't line up very well, so we need to put something here that kind of is distracting because right now you can see all the way through there. And if we actually come through, you'll notice it goes straight over to a road. So when you're coming down that road, you'll be able to see right down here too. So we're going to do a little something back here. Not quite sure if it's just a tree, because that helps a little bit, but we'll have to figure that out. All right, well, that's enough for the city today. The next thing I want to work on, and to kind of get us wrapped up for this episode, is start getting in the map room, which is over here like I showed earlier. So what my plan is, and I'm going to have to go grab these resources, we're just going to build up where these maps will go, represented by the dirt here. So it looks like we'll be able to squeeze in, 6 different maps as we build out over here. A wall, the stairs. Let's go see if we can get those in. I'll do a little on a time lapse, and then the rest I'll just do off and show you what it looks like. So let's get some materials and get started. All right, and I think we have the basic layout of what this room's gonna look like. You can see where the dirt is where the maps are gonna go. So I think we've got that laid out pretty well. So let's do a quick time lapse and get the main portion of this room set up. And after a quick time lapse, there you have it. That's going to be the basics of the room. Now, I know this isn't very exciting to have stone behind here, but it's going to be fine because for the most part, these will always be covered up once we get maps in. So there may be some blank spots over time, and so it may not look the best for a minute, but that's okay. The next thing, and I'm not going to do this on a time lapse because honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do, is the ceiling here is basically whatever the stairs upstairs were. So I need to create a better ceiling in here, a lot better floor. We need to get rid of the sand. So let me do that off camera and I'll bring it back and we'll see what it looks like. And way too long later, it took me a long time to figure out what to do with the ceiling, what to do with the floor. Still not loving the floor, but when you're playing achromatic and only grayscale blocks, you don't have a lot of options for lighting. So I gotta figure out something better because this doesn't look amazing, but it's something and it gives us the opportunity to move in our map. So let's go up and grab those. And as you can see, I haven't gotten the stairs in yet. And let's hope this guy, oh good, he's not mad at me anymore. Had a wandering trader come in, grabbed his llamas. I love that they're white and we'll put a different banner on them. But I think that'll bring a little more life to the city. Now what did I come out? Oh, forget what I already came out here for. The llamas distracted me. We're going to start moving in these maps. Now these two I've locked down. So they're not going to change when we move them. And then I actually made plenty of copies so that we have extras for when we do each of the different ones. So I'm going to move these in real quick and then let's see what they look like. And those maps are updated. I love seeing maps on the wall. I don't know why, but I think it's so cool when you can see like this tiny little village and kind of this concept that we had. I'm not sure why there's 2 green dots. But anyways, where we start is a blank canvas. Where we've gotten to, it looks so cool. I love seeing it. And then I did a third one, and this one is going to be our living one until we get a few more things here. But I realized we've put buildings in here and now along here. Oh, and the silos aren't even on there. So we're popping this one out. We're going to go update it and then pop it back in. Let's go out there and fly around and get it looking good. All right. I always love watching that. Oh, and it fills in real fast. But that's awesome. We now have that. Turns out you can't fly and look at a map. It makes you fall down. Wonder if you put it in your hand. Oh, that's bear. All right, so now we can fly around. Yeah, looks like we got those silos in. A few extra buildings. I put another one over here because I thought we were going to be a little more ambitious. But man, this has been a long episode. A lot of work going into it. So let's come back down here real quick. And I think I didn't get all those silos. I think the other one's on the bottom portion of it. Oh yeah. If you look at how narrow that was and how much we're starting to do, that's pretty cool. I'm excited to see what we can do here. There's a lot that we're going to be able to do when you look at like continuing up this side, whole bunch of nice flat land out here. I really want to make this city huge. All right, and that's going to do it for this episode. We got so much built. I know it's just a little portion on the map, but I'm excited that we now have this map room, that we're building out a plan of what we're going to do over in that area of this map, because I really want to see that part just explode over the next little while. Now, we're not going to do the village on every single one. I've got a few other redstone things, and we have the inside of this pyramid to do. So we have a lot of things that we're going to work on. Watch for those in the next episode. But thanks for watching, and make sure to comment and tell me how you're liking this series. And we'll talk to you soon.